And as I had mentioned, just a bit of our overview. We talked about the screens and the microphones being muted. We're going to give you a bit of an information update regarding next year's schedule and timetable. This is the grade 10 to grade 12 presentation for next year. So your students will be on the graduation program. So there's specific requirements for that piece. And then Aaron will be talking a bit about provincial assessments, the course offerings. Lisa will talk about career programs and apprenticeships. And then we'll conclude with some information regarding academies and then our timeline. I don't know where all of you are today, but I'm working here in my office at Delta Secondary. I just want to acknowledge that I am on the traditional territories of the Tsawwassen and Musqueam First Nations, and all of the Hunkaminam speaking people who have been stewards of this land in time immemorial. I also want to offer my respect to all the elders who have gone before us and to the elders and First Nations people who are with us today. And as I've told our students and staff day in and day out, it's a true honor and pleasure to work, live, and play on these beautiful lands. You've got to meet myself. We are running another presentation simultaneously, but fingers crossed that we get to stay as an admin team for 2022 and 2023. And at Delta Secondary, administration liaisons or contacts are done by grade. So next year, Mr. Annandale will follow the grade 9s up to grade 10 and welcome the grade 8s. And Ms. Calendar will take this year's grade 8s and grade 10s up to grade 9 and 11. And I'll be working with next year's grade 12s. If you do have any questions about course offerings or programs, we do ask that you have your child speak to their counselor. And again, by alphabetical order by last names. Mr. Lally is A to B, Ms. Keller, C to E. And because both of those two individuals are part-time counselors at our school, they spell each other off if one is not available. Ms. Green has F to L. Ms. Rohr works with the last names M to Q and all of our international students. And Ms. Gillis has the bottom end of our alphabet from R to Z, and she's also our Indigenous support advocate. So those are the people you can contact. And in our newsletter that went out last week, all their emails are in those pieces. The first piece I want to mention is just about the timetable. Next week, you'll be getting either a survey link from myself or from the Delta School District. Right now, we're in a consultation process with parents, students, and teachers. We've been through a lot over the past 2 years. We've had a quarter or quadmester system where we had 2 classes a day and broke our year into a quarter. This year at Delta Secondary, we've forged ahead and had an initial attempt at a semester system. But previously, we've traditionally been a linear school. So we'll be seeking input and information from parents and students regarding everything from your child's performance in the systems that we've had, what structures that they've been able to excel and learn best in. For those students that receive support blocks or support, what structure would help them out so that we can make an informed decision for the 2022-2023 year. And for those who, just remind you, this year, your child is taking 4 classes. So they had 4 classes every day from September to January, and they'll have 4 classes for the remainder of the year. And if we were a linear system, they get 8 classes at one time where we alternate days, a day 1 or day 2. So they'd get 4 classes on Monday and then 4 different classes on Tuesday with a day in between. We're also looking at trying to bring back flexible learning time next year to support students and looking at how we can utilize collaboration days. And as I said, more information will be coming out over an email from the district so we can survey parents and students. With that, I'm going to turn you over to our star of the show, to Ms. Rohr, who's going to walk you through our graduation program so that I can focus my attention on the chats and the questions you might have, and walk you through everything you and your child needs to know about course selection for next year. So Ms. Rohr, over to you.
Text is a text, but it's just
Oh, sorry, Ms. Rohr, your microphone is muted. If you just unmute yourself.
That would help. Yes, welcome. I just wanted to start off by explaining why it's graduation program 2018. That was the first year that this set of requirements started in BC. So for the graduation program, there's a requirement of language arts 10, 11, and 12. So that's our English. We typically call that English. Social studies 10, and then 11 or 12. science 10 and 11 or 12, and math 10 and 11 or 12. Physical health education 10. That is the last year that it is a required course. And then at some point in grade 10, 11, or 12, students need to complete a fine arts or applied skill technology course. And typically students have more than one. It's just mandatory that they have at least one. And then they're required to take career life education 10. And then in their grade 12 year, career life connections 12 and capstone project is required. It is typically run outside of the timetable as a Google Classroom. As well as those specific courses, students must have a minimum of 28 credits of electives. Of those, 3 must be at the grade 12 level. So all told, capstone, CLC, English 12, plus 3 other grade 12 courses at the 12 level, and a minimum of 80 credits to graduate. If everybody remembers that the course, each class is worth 4 credits. So each year, if a student is taking a full course load, they will receive 32 credits. So it's very easy to meet that 80. I always say that's not the goal, that's the minimum. So most students finish with around 92 credits. We will be sending out this chart. I really encourage those students going into grade 11 and 12 to use this when you're doing your course selection. It just makes sure that you're checking off all the boxes, that you're going to meet all the requirements. I also, although grade 11s will only pick their grade 10s going into 11 will only pick their grade 11 courses. I do say and recommend, why not look at it as a 2-year plan and kind of decide which courses you want to take in grade 11 and which ones you want to take in grade 12. So this form is very helpful, and I really encourage you to use it during this process. Next slide. Along with the required courses, students must complete the numeracy and literacy assessments. Numeracy assessment 10, typically students will write this in their grade 10 year. And then for literacy, we have the 10 and the 12. Students have an option to write it more than once. So that's why we encourage the numeracy to be completed in 10 so that they can have option to retake it if they so choose. These assessments are not associated with a particular math or English course. They're looking just to assess students' general numeracy and literacy skills. Students will receive a mark out of 4, so either 1, 2, 3, or 4, as a proficiency scale. These results do show up on your transcript. At this point, the only one that we know of that is looking at the assessments is UBC is requiring students to have at least a score of 3 on their literacy assessment 12. Next. So we're going to look at each grade level and their required courses. So starting with 10. So this is the first year of the graduation program. There are 6 required courses. The first of which is Language Arts 10. So students have 2 options. They can take Composition and Literary Studies 10 or First People Literary Studies and Spoken Language 10. These are 2 mini courses of 2 credits each. When it shows up on their schedule, it'll look like an English 10 class, but one of the credits will show in their block order, and the other course shows as an out of the timetable, just because they need to receive credit for 2 courses. Mathematics 10, students have the option of taking Workplace Mathematics 10 or Foundations and Pre-Calculus Math 10. When it comes to math, this is a really important one when it comes to looking at your future and post-secondary. So Ms. Jew's presentation, we're going to show you a little snippet at the end. But it's important to know which math is required for which paths for post-secondary. It's also important to discuss with your math teacher what they would recommend you to take. For PE, at the grade 10 level, students now have an option to take the what they're used to in 8 and 9, the PE 10, or they can choose to pick Studio Fit 10 or Weight Training 10. And I'm just going to move that. There we go. Also, Career Life Education 10 is a requirement, as well as Science 10 and Social Studies 10. You will notice when students go online to pick their courses for Career Life Education, they have the option of clicking it as one of their 8 courses, or choosing to take Career Life Education on their own, either as an online course or through summer school. Many students choose to take Career Life Education online or in the summer because they want to free up a spot to take an extra elective. If they take it in the summer or online, it does not mean that they have an empty block during their school year. All grade 10s will have 8 courses. It's just an opportunity, as I mentioned, to free up for an extra elective. When somebody's asking about the difference of the math for post-secondary, that will go on in our slideshow will be determined. You will see at the grade 11 and 12 levels which math is required for which areas, specifically for science or for English. I think that's it for the grade 10. Okay, for grade 11, they now have 4 required courses, and then they'll have 4 electives. Language Arts 11, they'll have the choice of Literary Studies 11 or English First Peoples Literary Studies and Spoken Language 11. And at the grade 11 level, math now splits into 3 options. If you were taking Workplace Math 10, then you can move on to Workplace Math 11. If you took the Foundations and Pre-Calc 10, you can either choose Foundations of Math 11 or Pre-Calculus 11. Excuse me. And of course, post-secondary determines, and also your ability, and I always recommend a talk with the math teacher. Social studies, you can take your social studies in grade 11 or wait till grade 12. All of these social studies courses are open to all grade 11 and 12 students. As long as they take one, they've met the requirement. However, many students take multiple courses over the grade 11 and 12 year. So you have options of world history, economic theory, law studies, physical geography, political studies, social justice. Any one of these will meet the requirements. Yeah. For science, like the math, may depend on your post-secondary choices. Many students will take one Science 11, or others, for example, going on to engineering or into sciences, will take 2 or possibly 3. The options are Life Science 11, Chemistry 11, Physics 11, and Science for Citizens. It's important to look at the descriptions to make sure that you're picking also the science that you're most interested in as well. At the grade 12 level, things really open up, and it really depends on what you want to do in the future. So that is why you really need to start having an idea. Am I going to go straight to school? Am I going to study the arts? Am I going to study the science, business? So that you know which courses you're going to need. We want you to leave high school, putting the best foot forward. So at the grade 12 level, you need to take the Career Life Connections 12 and Capstone project. That will be offered, as I mentioned, outside of the timetable, and that allows students to have one free or study block in their schedule at the grade 12 level. They must complete a language arts 12. So English Studies 12 or First Peoples Literary Studies and Spoken Language 12. After that, as long as they have a minimum of 3 other grade 12 courses, and the rest are electives. They can be grade 11, they can be 12, they can be an academic, they can be non-academic. However, as mentioned before, at least one course must be a fine art or applied skill. A little bit of a description of the Career Life Connection and Capstone. It focuses on 3 major themes to prepare you for the students for life after high school. So first is personal development, the next connections to community, career life plan is the third. So the capstone is a project in an area of personal interest or related to future aspirations. And this is presented in the springtime. And for our students this year, it'll be in April 2022. And for our grade 11s, next year will be April 2023. And it falls under one of these areas. It could be inquiry or research-based. It could be event planning or service-based, or project-based, or career and entrepreneurial. Really, we want the students to find something that they're passionate about, something they want to learn more about, or something they want to learn how to do, or some students are having an idea that will help the community.
Ms. Rohrer, I thought I'd just stop there for a second.
Sure.
Ms. Chupesky, as I said, Lisa Chupesky is our district coordinator who oversees all career programs and career education programs with apprenticeships. Lisa, do you maybe want to just jump in and just add a little bit about the Career Life Connections and Capstone project that might be able to help out some of our grade 12 parents?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. So what this project really is, the students are designing their own course. So they're trying to figure out something that they can really focus on, that they're going to take with them to whatever field they choose for after high school. And now if students are struggling to come up with an idea, on my website, which I'll put into the chat after this, there's a page on there on the career site for the capstone projects. So you can have a look at that right now and try and get a little bit of information about what it is and how it works. There's also the teacher at Delta Secondary that can help. And it's a really amazing project. There's some amazing things that have come up through this whole service-based and projects and like designing different things, and really kids follow their own passion. So that's what it's intended to do, carry through to how this plan is going to capture their interest after high school. And if there's any other questions, just put them in the chat and I will be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Lisa. I forgot I'm sharing my screen. So if you want to go ahead and put the link in there for me, that'd be great. And then just to let you know, we'll show for at the end of our presentation for those that parents of maybe students going into grade 11 and grade 12, because some of your course selection might impact post-secondary. We have a bit of a little teaser video from Ms. Ju that we'll be able to share. And as we said, we want to make sure that every graduate and every student in the Delta School District, when they cross that stage in June, they have plenty of options and opportunities ahead of them that they can explore. I know some of you had questions specifically to subject area content, and the next few slides will go through subject by subject. We won't spend as much time on it, but it'll show you a visual representation of the sequence of courses and how they line up to support you.
Okay, so English, as you can see, the English is, the flow chart flows down, and it just is showing the different options at the grade 10, 11, and 12 of the English First Peoples, or the literary studies or English studies. We've added creative writing 12 in there. That is simply an elective that is in the English department. For languages, after grade 8, a second language is not mandatory. Many students choose to continue either in Spanish or French. Mainly because they enjoy that course. It might be that they are taking it to meet a post-secondary requirement. Those who did not take French or Spanish after grade 8, and they've decided now, yes, they would like to go directly to UBC or SFU, there is the option of starting German. There's Intro German 11 would meet SFU's requirement. They require an intro language 11, or they could continue on to German 11. UBC is the only university that requires a second language 11. SFU will accept intro 11. Colleges, UVic, BCIT, they do not have a second language requirement. For our mathematics, this is where you have lots of options, again, based on ability and post-secondary choices. And this one here is just showing how it flows. So from Math 9, students have two options: the Foundations and Pre-Calculus 10 or the Workplace Math 10. From Workplace Math 10, you would flow into Workplace Math 11. And under the other stream at grade 11, you could continue from your Math 10 into Foundations of Math 11, which leads to Foundations of Math 12. or taking the pre-calculus 11 and then pre-calculus 12. And for those doing engineering or science, calculus 12. We will be offering, depending on which format we're using, semestered math, even if we are linear. So students have an option of taking those senior calculus, pre-calculus courses so they can finish 3 courses in the 2 years. The other option would be to take a summer school course and then 1 each year. The descriptions and everything for the math and all the courses you can find online. For our science, all our students will take Science 10. And at the grade 11 level, then you branch out depending again on interest, maybe ability, or post-secondary. So we have options of science for citizens, biology, which is now called life science 11, chemistry 11, or physics 11. Once you have completed a science 11, you have met high school graduation requirements. So you do not have to take, like math, you do not have to take a math or science at the grade 12 level unless it fits into your plans and your abilities. For social studies, all students will take social studies 10, and then you have the large option. Again, you may take this social explorations and socials 11, or in your grade 11 year, you're welcome to take any of the social studies at the grade 12 level, history, political studies, economics, social justice, law, and physical geography. Again, a reminder, criminology and psychology, also very popular courses in the social studies department. They do not fulfill the social studies requirement. And Lisa Chevesky, jump in on careers.
Sure, thank you. So I'm going to keep this short because I have a career program tonight coming up in which I'm going to put the information in the chat here shortly, but it's going to go over all of these different programs in more depth. So that's next week. I know you're already bombarded with information. So in Delta, we've got work experience, youth work in trades, youth train in trades, and dual credit programs. So work experience is going out and volunteering in the community for 90 hours. That can be either 1 or 2 high school courses. The youth work in trades is starting on your apprenticeship working. So an apprenticeship is 2 ways to start, either working in the field or going to post-secondary. So the youth work in trades is getting hired as an apprentice with a certified journey person and starting work in a trade. Common trades are carpentry and cook. We've had electricians, we've had plumbers. There's a whole bunch of different trades that are eligible for this program. Anybody that's a certified Red Seal can do that. And the Youth Train in Trades program is the post-secondary component of an apprenticeship program. So here in Delta, we offer 10 different partnership programs in which students are going to be applying into the programs before spring break. And if accepted into the programs, they're at Kwantland, BCC, BCIT. We've got different programs along the way. Students will have their tuition paid for. So they're really beginning their post-secondary while in high school, which is an amazing start to their career. We also have dual credit opportunities. So one of them, which is new in our district, is the Early Childhood Education Program. That is going to run in July for the first time this year. So it's going to be 4 weeks. And if you're successful at the end of it, you're going to be walking out with a credential of a certified ECE certificate assistant. So these credits will go towards a full ECE diploma afterwards, but it's just a really interesting way for students to get a head start in their career. If you have a student that's interested in business, we have an entrepreneurship course. It's Entrepreneurship 12, but it's under the program of YELL. And so that's in partnership with SFU. So it's a regular entrepreneurship course, but we have different business leaders come into the class, and they talk about what their life is like in a business environment, different tips and tricks of starting up your own business, and students even get to develop their own pitch. So it's really interesting for students who are interested in going in and starting their own business, or even learning about that in the program. And if you're successful, which successful completion is 80% or more, students earn 3 credits towards SFU, which is amazing. And it's, again, no cost to students. And the last program that we have for dual credit is a drafting program called CAD, and that's with Kwantlen Polytech University. So this is above and beyond the regular timetable. So students take 1 course per term. So there's 4 courses throughout the whole school year. And with that, students go to Kwantlen 2 nights a week. It generally will start at 6 or 7. And that's Kwantlen Polytech in Cloverdale. So they do have some online classes, but some of them are in person. So getting tuned from the post-secondary program is really important to make sure that you can make it. But if you're interested in drafting your CAD, that's another possibility. So I'm going to put a couple things in the chat here after. I'm going to put a link to the Zoom call in which I'm going to be hosting, talking more about these programs, as well as where you can find more information on the Delta Careers website. And the last thing that I'm going to put in there is your contact at Delta Secondary is Carla Day. She's amazing. She would have been here tonight, but she's actually coaching her child's soccer. So I said I would come in and talk about it, but you can reach out to her. You can reach out to me if you have any other questions about that. So I'll keep that brief, but if there's any other questions, just please let me know.
Thank you, Lisa. And again, thank you for coming out tonight to join us in Ms. Day's absence.
No problem.
Last couple sections on academies before we turn it over to take some more questions from you, the audience, and we'll continue to try and answer them as best we can in the chat as well. Ms. Rowe, I'll give your voice a bit of a break, but for next year, we are looking at offering a couple of academies. Academies are a 2-block program where students would give up 2 courses in their timetable. If it's a fine arts academy, they receive 8 credits towards fine arts. And Delta will be trying to offer through our school next year a dance academy. If the dance academy is not able to run, we are also offering a dance class from 9 to 12 that students can sign up for. But over at the Delta Manor Education Center, just by the school board office, we'll continue to run our film acting, film production, and film visual effects academy programs. And these are programs that are run in conjunction by a Delta teacher along with a professional in that industry. In terms of sports academies for next year, 2 will be running. South Delta Secondary will be running both the Delta Lacrosse and the Soccer Academy. Ironically, they train and practice at a Dougald Morrison Park here in Ladner where we are, but they are associated with Delta Secondary for that program. And if you have a child that's enthusiastic about soccer or into soccer, there's a program in both the North End and the South End for those programs. There is an additional cost to our academies, and that's to pay for the additional training materials and the hired support that is hired. As I said, the sport and the art academies do bring in some professionals that are paid to come work and provide their expertise and training for our students. But Paige Hansen is our district principal who oversees the academies, and she can be reached at phansen@deltaschools.ca. And she can provide more information for you regarding potential bursaries and family assistance on those items. Sorry, lost my mouse there. And that's on academies. And Ms. Rohr, I'll turn it back over to you just to go over the timeline and some final things about how to choose courses.
Okay, so course selection, we would like students to submit their responses by March 4th. Again, there is all students who have their courses in by March 4th have equal opportunity to receive their first pick. There is no advantage to whip in and put your courses in on the very first day. In fact, we don't recommend that. We'd like students and families to take the time to do some research, read the descriptions, talk to teachers, talk to the teachers about recommendations of different levels, talk to teachers of the electives to find out, what do I do? What projects will we be doing, and so on. Read the course descriptions that are the booklet that's on the website. And so no rush, just make sure it's in by the 4th. For the grade 10s, they'll be taking 8 courses next year. So 6 are required, and then they'll take 2 electives, and we require that you choose 2 alternates. We're asking that you prioritize your electives and alternates so that we know in case in your schedule, courses are offered at the same time and you can only have one of the courses that you've selected, that we know what is your priority. So there is a way on MyEd to rank your electives and alternates. If you are choosing the option of doing the career life education over the summer or online, then you would be picking that option in the course selection, and then you would be choosing 3 electives. For the grade 11s, 4 courses are required and 4 electives, and we ask, again, at least 2 alternates. For the grade 12s, they'll be having 8 courses. 2 are required, and then they can choose 6 to 7 electives. And at the grade 12 level, we have more courses that are singleton or offered maybe only once, 1 block. So we need a minimum of at least 3 alternates. So we really try to give students their first choices, and then we turn to their alternates to make a complete schedule. And then the process for choosing your courses is to log into their MyEd BC account, and they go on the top tab to My Info, the side tab Requests, and then they select their selections. Make sure to include the priority and alternates, and most important, make sure that they select post. This will finalize their requests. It will save them on the system. So for questions, please speak to your counselor. Ms. Ju is fabulous. She really knows her post-secondary information. And in the little short video we're going to show right after this, she explains how parents and students can make appointments to meet with her to go over course selection and post-secondary requirements. As mentioned, talk to teachers, gather as much information as you can. We really need you to make good decisions now. Once the schedule is built, it's really hard to change students' courses. So we really want them to select the courses they really want to take for next year. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Rohr. Thank you for doing that. What we thought we would do is we thought we'd pause before we show Ms. Ju's video to try and answer any questions that might be in our chat or any questions that you may have. If you do have a question, please feel free to throw it into the chat box, and we can try and answer some of those now. And as I said, if you develop any questions between now and by the time between March 4th, please feel free to contact your student's counselor just to get some information on those pieces. The reason why we start our course selection process so early towards next year is we want to try and get as much accurate information as we can. As Ms. Rohr said, what students choose help us determine and dictate what courses we can offer or not offer. Courses that have really low enrollment or no interest, we do collapse. Sometimes we get stuck with a situation where, we might only have 34 kids who want to take a particular class, and we can't run 2 classes for 34 students. So we look at the course requests and see what the students' priorities are to make sure we can try and get them into that schedule. And sometimes we have those natural conflicts. For example, you might have French 12 as a singleton block and entrepreneurship 12 as a singleton block scheduled in the same block of time, because that was the best location for it when trying to build a timetable for the entire school, and the student has to make a choice. And that's where those rankings really help with those pieces. And to some of the questions we saw, if your student is taking a full timetable or schedule all the way through, they'll have more than enough credits to graduate. And I keep reminding students that this is the one opportunity before you go on to a post-secondary vocational school to try a course you might be interested in, a course you might be curious about. The best part about the K-12 system is those courses come at a low to no cost. They are free. To take that photography course in a post-secondary institution or privately can cost a lot more. And we really do want our students to have as many options or pathways. As much as they might be hoping to go to UBC Sciences, or you're hoping they might go to UBC Sciences, they might have an amazing talent or a passion or an interest in another area. And there's no direct path. We've had some students that excelled with their hands and started with an apprenticeship and got their Red Seal certificate and went on to be pretty successful. And then having that in their back pocket, thought, well, I've always been interested in microbiology, or I've always been interested in this educational piece, but they at least had a red ticket and were able to fund their learning through apprenticeships and through working at a high school if it's not a direct line. I'll pause, look at the chats.
I'll answer the question about many students, especially there was a question about Spanish. Some students are ahead of grade because maybe they've already taken a course in the summer, etc. They may not be able to choose the next level when they go into MyEd. So for any of those cases, just ask the student to go see their counselor, and we can manually put it in. For example, if it's a student going into grade 10, but they're in Spanish 10 right now, they will not be able to choose Spanish 11 on their course selection on MyEd. So they just come in and see the counselor.
Thanks, Ms. Rower. And yeah, we're going to open up registration for students after the weekend. We really want students to take some time to read through the course booklet and the course programming booklet to get some information. I'll copy a link in here shortly, but if you just do a Google search for Delta Secondary School and you click on our school website, there is a top tab called Courses and Programs. And when you click on that top tab, you get a drop-down menu. And then it's course planning, and then inside course planning is course selection. And you'll find worksheets. You'll find, and we didn't talk a lot about the electives, only because we didn't want to keep you here all night. We try and offer over 200 courses in grade 10, 11, and 12 in terms of offerings to give students an opportunity to take some diverse programming. And from there, we determine which ones we run. But all the information regarding all the electives and all the different areas are there in the course description booklet. You'll find information regarding study blocks, peer tutoring, support blocks for students if they're in a support program for their learning, apprenticeships, as well as a detailed write-up on what a course is all about, what it may entail, and what are some of the topics that will be covered over the course of the year with those courses. These presentations are, I believe they're actually already loaded up by Ms. Bowling in our website, so you can have a look at that. And we will take individualized questions in the chat group by anybody that has some questions that we can try to answer. So Steve, I know your question about math, I'll try and scroll through it earlier. Yes, a student can take, for example, Foundations Math 11, receive their math credit towards graduation, but then decide that either in that same, in maybe their grade 12 year that they found a post-secondary program that requires a higher level of math, they can then take Math 11 pre-calculus. as those are two distinct ministry courses that will allow them, they'll be able to take both of those. Good question, Lucas. Strategies block and support blocks. A goal I think that we're trying to do here at Delta Secondary is we're trying to support students with their learning, but help them become agents and advocates, but also work towards some independence with their learning. I know our current strategies teachers will be reviewing their student lists and making recommendations regarding who might need an enrolling block. So that's where a block of strategies is scheduled into their schedule, or who might benefit from a support, but in a non-enrolling manner, where a strategies teacher or an educational assistant is supporting students in a classroom, or whether kind of like in an elementary school model where maybe a student might be pulled out of their classroom time to time to work for some support. I know one of the things we're looking at that we weren't able to offer this year is a return to our flexible learning time, or our flexible instructional time, where prior to the pandemic, we had a 40-minute block of time scheduled Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, where students were either prescribed to go to a particular course or area, or they had a choice for extra support, for extra time to do assessments, or just to get some further practice and experience around concepts they were learning in the classes. The question about switching over to Spanish 9 or 10, we'd like to take Spanish 9 only because we do have a full Spanish curriculum, and students may be behind in their linguistic skills and understanding. It's usually, unless they come from a Spanish speaking background or family, they may find it difficult to jump right into Spanish 10. Sorry, just pausing to scan to see if there are any other questions. Kristen, regarding the possible pre-cal 11 and 12 so that they can eventually take calculus, part of that's going to depend, I think, on the system we're running, but the way MyEd is set up and the easiest way for us to organize and keep track of all the course selections, we've limited to the grade or class level they're going into. So grade 11s only have access to courses at the grade 11 level. But if you had your child contact their counselor or saw their counselor, they can make a note of that for the course selection, and we can put both those requests in.
With the with regards to the French and post-secondaries, outside of BC, Ms. Ju is a better one to check with that. She has this book that has all the Canadian schools and which ones do and which ones do not. For here in BC, it's SFU requires minimum an intro language 11, and UBC requires for entrance a language 11. And if you want to graduate from UBC with an arts degree, they require a language 12. You can take that at university or take it at high school for free and meet that requirement.
Ms. Rohr, I saw a question that was lost in the chat, and it was regarding computer science 11 and 12. And the question is, does computer science 11 and 12 count towards a math credit?
No, it does not.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Brett, I hope that answered your question. Again, we can do some digging if there's an aspect or if you have some different information on that piece. What I'll ask to do now is, we'll definitely go to have a look to find out what the ministry guidelines have. Ms. Rohr has queued up the short little video from Ms. Ju. We showed it to all the students this morning in grades, going into grade 10, 11, and 12. Just some basic information around some of the more popular post-secondary choices and options that our students tend to go to. So we'll show that little video clip now. If you don't feel you need to see that video clip, just on the bottom of your screen, you'll see a little red button that'll say exit or leave. You can do that. And then after the video clip, we'll stick around to answer as many more questions we can. And I will post into the chat our school website. But on the school website under courses and programs, you can find that information. I'll copy that link in while Ms. Rower shares her screen.
Good afternoon, students. Welcome to my course selection course planning presentation. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce myself. I am the Career and Post-Secondary Advisor here at Delta Secondary. Today's presentation will just be a brief outline of what I will be discussing in my longer presentation. In my longer presentation, I will be discussing in more detail what the admission requirements will be to the different post-secondary schools here in BC. I will only be highlighting a few of the schools here in BC, as we have many post-secondary schools here. The longer presentation will be about 35 to 40 minutes. You should be getting a link to access this presentation shortly. You should have also gotten an email from me earlier this week, sent to your Delta Learns email with a link to my Google Calendar. This is where you can book an appointment with me. Each appointment is 20 minutes in duration. However, if you do require more time or you want your parents to join you, you can book 2 appointments. My calendar typically fills up very quickly, so you should book an appointment if you are planning on coming to see me. Post-secondary means any schooling after high school. It can be a university, a college, a trade school, or a technical institute. If you're planning on attending schools across Canada, I do highly advise you to make an appointment with me to go over your course selection. Every institution here in BC and across Canada has different admission requirements. You can't make the assumption that just because you've met the admission requirements to UBC, that you would have met the admission requirements to the University of Toronto, or SFU, or McGill. Every school and every faculty will have different admission requirements. It can be quite complex to meet these admission requirements, especially if you're applying to multiple schools. So as you can see here, these are the post-secondary schools here in BC. Again, every school will have different admission requirements. So in my longer presentation, I will be talking about the apprenticeship and the trades. And so basically there's 2 ways you can enter the trades in high school. So the 2 programs we have here is the work, train and trades, and the youth work and trades. And then of course you can do your apprenticeship after high school. And I'll talk a little bit later in my longer presentation about the trades programs at BCIT and the wait list as well as the pre-tests. So the career programs here in the Delta School District, so we have 4 main career programs: the work experience, the dual credit, youth work and trades, and again, the youth train and trades. I'll also be talking, again in my longer presentation, about UBC. I'll be talking about the admission requirements to the largest faculties, and I'll be talking about the grade point averages that you require to get into the programs. Okay, and I'll be talking about the 6 required courses that you will need to meet the prerequisite requirements to UBC. Okay, so SFU, I'll also be talking about SFU, the different admission requirements to the different faculties, the grade 12 courses coming from List A and List B, which is a very important part of the admission requirements. I'll be going through UVic as well, and then the recommended admission averages for the different programs at UVic. I'll also be talking about Douglas College, a little bit about all the different some of the different programs here at Douglas College. Langara, also touch on Langara as well. As you can see, there's a lot of different programs at Langara. I'll be talking about KPU as well, so Kwantlen Polytechnic University. And then I'll touch upon BCIT as well. And then again, I'll kind of talk a little bit more detail about the admission requirements to UBC, UVic, and SFU. I'll also talk about the university transfer programs. So if you want to start at a college, taking the 2-year diploma or associate degrees, and then completing your degree at another university. Okay. And so this is the Career Center. If you don't know where the Career Center is, I am in the counseling area. I'm the very first door on the left-hand side. This is the link to my online calendar. And it'll take you to a page like this. And basically you can sign up for an appointment to see me. Again, if you want a longer appointment, more than 20 minutes, or you have your parents want to come with you, you can book 2 appointments. So there's only sort of a 2-week window for appointment times. So I do fill up fairly quickly. So I do highly suggest that you book an appointment as soon as you can. Thank you very much, and I look forward to meeting with many of you.
Thank you, Ms. Ju.
Yeah, thank you, Erin. And I did post in the chat the link, but I'll just do a quick screen share. When you do a Google search for Delta Secondary School and you pull up to our school website under courses and programs, if you click on it, you'll want to come down to course planning. And then from course planning, it just talks a bit about the process for you. And then the links to our slideshow are here where you can find it under course planning. To find out about the practice sheet and all the courses and electives that are being offered, if you click on course selection, you can scroll down. Here's where you'll find our program guide. So that will be the course descriptions and all the information pertaining to each course, information how to log on to a MyEd account, link to the district academies, and then your practice planning sheet. And then by grade, we list all the required courses as well as all the elective courses that are available at that grade level for that credit. So what Erin and I will do is we will stick around and try and answer as many questions to the best of our ability that we can. We will give everyone else the option to either stick around or to leave. I don't want to hold anyone hostage, as I do know how valuable your time is. And I do want to say thank you for coming out to join us this evening. So yes, those that are, I've heard all their information, don't have any questions, you are free to leave. Thank you for being a wonderful audience. And for those that do have questions, please stick around and we'll answer through chat as best we can. And as our numbers get smaller, we'll even take personal questions if we need to. So have a good night, everybody. And please email your counselors if you have any questions. Take care.
The question about going to UBC, if you go to, for example, a Langara or KPU beforehand, will you still need the language requirement? UBC will allow you to enter, because now you're entering as an adult. They have different requirements. But once again, if you're wanting to graduate only from UBC with an arts degree, you will have to then complete the equivalent of a language 11 or 12 at UBC to meet their arts degree requirements.
Sorry, Alana, regards to summer courses, that is something that's offered through the Delta School District through Delta Access or Continuing Education. Being a bit of a smaller district, they try and focus on the ones that are traditionally more popular. They're usually your core academics. If there is a course offering that the Delta School District does not offer, I would suggest either a larger district like Surrey, Vancouver, Coquitlam, or eBus Academy. It's probably the largest online learning organization in our province for courses, and they will run almost the full gamut of courses. But if it's a required course towards graduation, we'll offer it in the summer, usually through the Delta School District. More courses are offered in the North End just because there's 5 high schools located geographically there. And we have a smaller summer school campus here in Ladner for the families of Tawasin and Ladner. Jeff, with regards to German 11, introductory German, yes, they can jump right into actual German 11. If they don't have any German speaking experience or background, I assume they will probably struggle, like with most people trying to pick up an 11 level course. And that's why we always suggest that they take the introductory German. Being a grade 11 course, it will fulfill graduation requirements and meet language requirements for some post-secondary institutions. Pindy, there are no volunteer hour requirements related to a particular course. I know some courses like Leadership 12 and Physical Health Education, they require some. Sorry, excuse me. With regards to a student's CLC and capstone in grade 12, there is a minimum requirement of at least 30 hours being devoted towards your capstone project. That's everything from the ideation, the research or inquiry, and the implementation of that program and that reflection piece on it. Some students do volunteer and collect volunteer hours for scholarship purposes, for bursary purposes, or even for being recognized in awards with outstanding service. We do always encourage students to volunteer and to be involved in their communities, but it isn't attached as a part of a requirement for graduation. Ms. Rohr, I don't know if I've missed anything. I'm just looking at all the questions in our chat. I think we've answered them all. So if there aren't any other questions, again, just want to say thank you to everyone who stayed around, and have a wonderful night. And if any questions do pop up, please feel free to contact the school or your child's counselor, and we'll do our best to answer those. Take care, everyone.